Here are 100 useless facts about Raft. The storage types will have an empty model when the container is empty, but if you put something inside, the model will have clutter on the shelves. The amount of clutter can sometimes increase with the amount of stuff inside. Jeremiah can sometimes attack players in chairs or bathtubs if the waves are too high. If you poke a deceased angler at Verona Point or Temperance, their bioluminescent lights will flicker. Pipes can connect through doorways, but will disconnect if the world is reloaded when the doors are closed. You can change the slack in a zipline by scrolling up or down before you attach it to its second point. The large banner hanging above Caravan Town's dock says Bandar Khalifa, which literally translates to Caravan Town from Malay, but the concept art for Caravan Town had a banner saying Pulau Khalifa, or Caravan Island. There are no hard limitations on raft size or the amount of players you can have in a given world. It's only dependent on how powerful your system is. You can trigger a shootout animation by switching to a banana as your held item. It's visible in both third person and first person, but the animations aren't synced, so you may see it one time in first person, but your friend won't when they look at you. The rhino shark technically has 40 HP, which is the least amount of any hostile mob besides bees, but it doesn't matter since you can't deal physical damage to it anyways. The tic-tac-toe board only allows you to place 6 pieces in total, so each player only gets 3 turns instead of the traditional 4+ turns. You can place both grass plots and raised platforms on top of pillars, despite both being traditionally locked into the center of the building grid. You can place a sprinkler in front of a rope fence or a cheap wooden fence, but not in front of an expensive wooden fence. The sun rises in the north and sets in the south. The current will also always only flow north. The hammock restores less health when hung from the ceiling than it does when it's placed on the floor. The EDM cassette tape says Yannick or Janik at the top, which is the name of the composer behind the Raft soundtrack. Honey is the only raw food item not used in any advanced recipes, but is also the only raw food to give the special bonus hunger. A chest placed on the wall is physically smaller than a chest that's placed on the floor. You can technically throw metal hooks further than plastic ones, but plastic hooks already reach the edge of the trash stream. The globe decoration item is a proper globe that looks like it's been scribbled over with blue marker, which makes sense, considering the world of Raft canonically sunk. The upgraded collection nets that cost 4 titanium each to craft don't need to be fortified because they can't be destroyed by shark attacks. Jeremiah will sometimes attack the next row of foundations instead, however. Standing on top of the reactor towers on Temperance will in fact irradiate you. Almost anything not tied to the building grid can be placed on a shelf, so you can place fireplaces, storages, or recyclers wherever your heart desires. And if you rotate the shelf, you can rotate the items on them too. Hyenas will infinitely spawn in the cage room, so technically this is an infinite meat and biofuel source before you finish the story. Unfortunately, you can't leave without either perishing or progressing the story, so plan accordingly. After placing a set of objects above and below a floor, you can destroy the floor and the upper object will float as if the floor was still there. The only way to place a sail on a horizontal pillar is to build a vertical pillar through the center, place the sail, and then remove the vertical pillar. The rare boat crash island has more than 140 rocks on it, which is more than double most of the other islands combined. If you swim all the way down the side of an island, you find a barren, flat sand plain that abruptly falls into the void. Seagulls are the only hostile mob in the game that don't damage players. Bees also count as hostile mobs because they sometimes deal 5 damage to players. All of the food bags on Tangaroa are labeled Tangaroa premium soybeans, despite the fact that the plantation in Tangaroa only grows bananas and strawberries. The word banana is misspelled in the item description for the Mango Nana smoothie. While this is technically the proper spelling in Swedish, which is the primary language of the developers, this is the only instance of this spelling in the English version of the game. There have been 2 known items that were removed from the game that you could previously obtain with console commands: a placeholder model for a spiral staircase, and a non-item for a beach ball that never got added. The wood particles that fly away from building pieces as you break them are identical to the models of wood planks you can pick up from the ocean. The red health bar is slightly offset from its UI as you can see pixels that don't quite overlap. Despite being the largest landmass in the game, there are no treasure spots on Temperance. You can infinitely farm radioactive bug meat in the final reactor room on Temperance, as scoutlers will continually spawn so long as a player is present. Unlike the room on Utopia, you can leave and revisit this room before finishing the reactor to maximize your meat gains. There's a visible texture scene that glitches periodically along the beach of Caravan Town. The item description for the water tank blueprint has a typo that starts with 2 C's. The interior of the fridges in Tangaroa's apartments are fully modeled, despite the fact that there is no way to open them. There are 4 hidden developer items that are only obtainable with mods or cheats: the spinning dev hat that looks like a police siren, the OP weapon that quote-unquote cuts sushi like a boss and deals over 9,000 damage per hit, Scratched glass, which functions like normal glass but is craftable under the Resource tab in Creative, and an item. It has an item description for an item. It looks like a throwable anchor, but if you try to throw it, it soft-locks your game. The oxygen meter replenishes on a logarithmic scale and not a linear one, so it's most efficient to dive again before finishing reloading the bar all the way. You can find some healing salves in the vents of the air pockets around the Varuna Point Rhino Shark fight. There are a few unique themed apartments around Tangaroa: the artist's apartment with unfinished paintings, the plant lover's apartment that's full of plants, and of course, the sad birthday party with rotten cake where you can steal some of the birthday presents for yourself. Taking out a tamed animal that you've given a name to will drop their name tag so that you could place it on your raft. Tamed animals without a name, or generic animals from islands, won't drop anything though. Fireworks deal 20 damage upon impact, but can only be used on seagulls or other players. There is a hidden cactus in the supply closet of the second story island. Both fireworks and rocks can damage other players, even when friendly fire is turned off in the world settings. Nearly any projectile in the game works to lower the bridge on Balboa Island, but the hook is probably the easiest. The Polaroid pictures that appear in the start of your story journal will change dependent on which character model you are using. The first appearance of copper in any loot table is from the resource bundles found on Caravan Town. There is a version of the fictional console, the Game Clam, in the ice underneath Temperance's reactor. Standing on this bent pipe under the door to the grabber's lair allows you to open the door from the other side in third person. There are no toilets in the restrooms in Tangaroa's office building, but there is a small cactus. The single rarest item in the game is the Golden Toy Robot, which is only obtainable as a rare drop from the safe variant of the treasure you can dig up. In the original free version of Raft, Jeremiah was a shiny black blob that somewhat resembled a shark. The bottom of the can that makes up Major Tom's left shoulder says "Hi" on the bottom. If you look closely at the food bags around the Tangaroa plantation, you'll notice swarms of beetles, which are a reference to an old story beat that the plantation was infested, causing a food shortage in Tangaroa from the original version of Raft's story. The modern version of the story only has a single line alluding to the beetles' presence, however. Most models used on your raft are combinations of other real-world items MacGyvered into things that would help you survive, like the vacuum on the electric water purifier, or the ship motor you use as a blender for the juicer. Not that a ship motor would be helpful for actually powering your ship, mind you, but the simple battery is made from a mayo tub. All varieties of paintings can be rotated on walls, but the motivational science cannot. There is a fully functional, yet completely inaccessible door in one of the Varuna Point buildings. The mudhogs found on desert islands will only drop leather and no meat because they were canonically infected with salmonella. At one point, the boss for Varuna Point was planned to be a massive eel creature instead of the rhino shark we all know and love today. The placement preview for the cooking pot shows the leftover stew as an already prepared item, whereas the juicer preview just shows water. Scattered throughout the world, you can find various Forward Scout symbols, which represents the same organization that the player belongs to according to the story journal. There is a tiny hidden lucky cat in a different supply closet on the second story island. The advanced scarecrow and the golden toy robot are the only instances of glowing red eyes, and it's even specified that the robot doesn't have batteries causing the glow. One of the tracks on the rock cassette tape is titled "Seagull Stole My Potato." Like the health bar, the actual meter on the oxygen bar doesn't quite line up with its associated area in the UI. The workout equipment in Temperance's igloos is from a brand called Raft Sport, TM. There are only 2 diggable dirt spots at Caravan Town, and they are found in this small cave below the rickety bridge between the 2 main town sections. Using the auto run feature while in stormy weather will occasionally let you swim above the water, as it doesn't track wave action in auto movement. You can find multiple references to Red Beat Interactive, the dev team behind Raft, throughout the world. Some examples include the RDBT on the steering wheel, the Red Beat shot you make in the juicer, and even the RB 2017 on the side of the crashed seaplane. There are runes engraved on the Viking horn item that you can purchase from the trading posts, and they could possibly be transcribed from the younger Futhark alphabet to read "this word that I cannot pronounce" that supposedly translates to "seafaring man." The item descriptions for cooked pomfrets, herrings, and potatoes all say "a nice little snack," whereas the cooked beet description says "a healthy little meal," despite all 4 foods replenishing the exact same amount of hunger. This is the real dog depicted in the Neighbor's Dog developer painting, who is actually the Raft community manager's dog. There are 2 billiards tables in Raft, one in the second layer of the cruise ship, and one on the upper floor of the big igloo in Temperance. If a screecher drops a rock on a bit of your raft, sometimes it won't break, and you'll just have a pet rock for a little while. The bottles used to make the binoculars say "Bubbly Bob's Bubble Drink, a taste of bubbles." There is no collision on the glass section of the roof protecting Olaf from the outside world. The single longest item name in the game is for the inverted solid wooden roof corner that you can access in the build hammer. Most foods that come in bowls reflect light when you're underwater. There is one bottle that floats above the shelf in the bar area of the second story island. The item description for the titanium sword uses the wrong instance of the word greatest. The advanced stationary anchor can be raised and lowered manually normally, but if you have an engine control, it loses its ability to be used manually. Many of the in-game items have small illustrations that are meant to inform you how to use the item, like the inscription on the engine indicating that one engine powers up to 100 foundations, or the sprinkler indicating its tile range. The elevator cassette tape says, "Unknown, do not play," when you see it on the desk in Tangaroa, but once you pick it up, it just says, "Tangaroa elevator loop number 2. You can find bags of food near these piles of caravans, but the O on the onion bags is a little drawing of an onion. There is a physical concrete block with the Raft logo on it in Skövde, Sweden, alongside other notable games that were developed by local studios. If you kill a boar in multiplayer while it is attacking another player, you can have some unintended side effects. The machete model is for an old street sign that says the name of the village that the 3D artist who made it grew up in. All of the Polaroid photos in the start of the story journal were modeled with bald versions of Maya and Rohi. You can write on signs using a little bit of HTML code to change font size, color, and face. You can even insert emojis onto signs. At one point in early development, there was going to be an eel lurking around island reefs. Before Chapter 3, this decorative painting only featured Maya, Rohi, Johnny, and Tala. Elaine and Shogo were added later. The underside of the grand piano has a message that says, "Don't look down here." The rock patterns on Balboa's South Beach spell out SOS when viewed from a distance. The simple headlight is powered by a single D battery, but the advanced headlight is powered by about 14 AA batteries. Both still only require one normal dead battery to craft though. Clucker name tags can only fit 10 characters, but both llamas and goats can have up to 12 characters in their name tags. The plastic hook was apparently copyrighted in 2007. The snowmobiles can be taken nearly anywhere in Temperance with enough momentum. That includes inside the final cryo chamber room, and even on top of scuttlers. And finally, on the back of the water tank near Utopia's first area, you can find a little note from Dedo along with the Super S that every primary school child used to draw in their notebook. And those are 100 random and mostly useless facts about Raft. I've accumulated over 1,200 hours in this game, and I needed to explain some of the weird stuff I found somewhere. But that's everything from me for now. I hope you enjoyed. Please consider leaving a like if you did, and consider subscribing if you haven't already. It really helps me out. I hope to see you all again soon, but until then, have a great day.